Hello? That was bad. Hello?
Hello.
How many of you have been here for the past 3 weekends with our series? That's wonderful. I started off this series with the idea of changing our mindset from the old typewriter mentality to a new faster keyboard. The following week, we had Pastor Karanko talk about the idea of living for eternity today and not waiting for heaven, but starting heaven now. And then last week, Pastor Hawes did a wonderful, wonderful job talking about Jesus' first miracle and his rebellion against the system. And today I want to finish it up with an illustration I've put together for you. But before we begin, let us pray. Dear Jesus, we come again on your wonderful Sabbath. We ask that you be with us, be with me, let my words be yours and never mine. We thank you for this church building, for our country that we are still able to meet freely. We ask that you guide us as a congregation in the future to come. Amen. Growing up, I did one thing, and one thing only: play with Lego. Hopefully most of you know what Lego is. It has been deemed the ultimate, most successful toy ever. It has changed the way we build buildings. It has changed the way we think. It has changed the way we play. Lego comes from the Danish word "godt good," means play well. And the creator started making toys when he lost his job as a carpenter. So out of his failure, he began a company that has grown and now produces enough Lego pieces to circumference the earth 5 times every year. In fact, there are 68 Lego pieces to every person on earth. If Lego was a nation, they would have the most population of any nation. So yes, this toy, as it put it, is so significant. And my childhood was based upon it. I love Lego. My parents would always get me bigger and bigger sets trying to make me, put together longer and longer. And it never worked. As soon as I got it on the table, all the bolts out with the instructions, and I had anything built within an hour. Battleships, planes, complete sets, everything was done within an hour. And I still have all that Lego. In fact, sometimes I even admit half the reason I want kids is so I can buy them Lego. The Lego's principle, which is a wonderful principle, is it teaches us not to build, but the process of building from the ground up. The pieces snap together and could be taken apart, thus enabling creation to never end. And that's why it's so wonderful. And that's why I love it. And I'm going to use this idea of building for today's talk, and that is we're going to build what I believe was constructed in the Bible as the church, the way church was. The building blocks, if you would, of church. And so, I have Lego pieces. And the first Lego piece I want to talk about is worship. Because for a church to be a church, we need to worship. Pretty simple. Worship, the word, has 2 meanings in it. The word means to put value on. The ship means the quality of that value. So worship means the quality of worth. So like friendship, the value, the quality of being a friend. Sportsmanship, disciplemanship. The ship is putting value on what's before it. So worship is a very broad idea. You can worship anything. Your car, your job, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, the church. But worship in our context is about Jesus. But again, it's broad, so it doesn't fall just with music. It follows everything. How we interact, how we live our lives. Are we placing value on God? As some of you may know, I work at a restaurant washing dishes. That is my job. It's not very glamorous, but it's what I do. And I'm reminded every time I work about Joseph, making the best of everything. So though my job for 6 to 8 hours is washing dishes, I always say thank you whenever a waitress or one of the chefs hands me dishes. And for a while, they just didn't get it. I'd be washing dishes and they'd hand it over. I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm like, okay. Like, what dishwasher says thank you to dirty dishes? I never say that at home, that's for sure. Yes, Mother, I know. But it's caught on. Now when they hand me dishes, I say thank you, and they're like, no, thank you. The waitresses between themselves say thank you. And I've been there for about 2 months. But this idea of being grateful of the Joseph story has caught on, and worshiping what I do, putting God first, even though I'm washing dirty dishes. And it's an Indian restaurant, so there's a lot of rice, and rice is terrible to clean. Hebrews 13:15. Through Jesus, therefore, let us continually offer to God a sacrifice of praise, the fruit of lips that confess his name. It's this idea of continual worship, of never ceasing to put value on God. Through work, through play, through church, through our interactions, always putting God first. His love of others. So that is our first block. We have another block that was so lovely read as today's scripture reading. Community. You cannot have church of one. You need 2, 3, or more. And then God will be there with them in a church setting. Of course, we can worship God on ourselves, but what we're talking about is church. And church involves a community. But what is a community? It's a group of people with a common interest or a common goal. Here we all want to worship God. Here we all have fallen in love with Jesus, or we are in the process of. We all want to glorify Jesus. That is our goal. As a church, we want to put God first as a group. Because as a group, we can do more than as individuals. Romans 12, verse 15 to 16. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited. So this idea of community is it's all-encompassing. Anyone can be part of our community. It is inclusive to everyone that shows up. It's not exclusive. It's not built for us. It's built for them. And as the verse stated, it's not we just gather once a week and just be in the presence of each other, but we're involved in each other's lives. When those are sad, we are with them because they are sad. We support them when they're sad. When they're happy, we support them when they're happy. When somebody is down, we are all down. We all pitch in. When I was on a recent tour with Fountain View, we went to a dime tabernacle. And I've never heard of this before. What is a dime tabernacle? Everyone knew except me, and I felt really out. So I asked. And they're like, oh, it was an idea that started by Ellen White. They wanted a new church. So everyone in the congregation that got a dime, that's the only one coin they used, would give the dime to the church. And over time, through collecting of dimes, they were able to build a church. That is what community is. If we were all to give $1, how much money could we raise for a family in need? If we were all to come and do a barn raising, how fast would it happen? Because together, we can accomplish more than by ourselves. And that is the community aspect. And it is with worship. Now, these 2 blocks alone aren't quite enough. We need something a little more to join them together. And with Lego, as I mentioned, they stick together. So, on top of these 2, we have our last piece, which hopefully should stick. No, let's put it there. Love. Without love, our community would not flourish, would not be desirable to those around us. If we were all angry and hated each other, would we want to be here? Would somebody new want to be here? No. The reason we are able to come together, the reason we are able to function, the reason people will want to be part of us is because we love one another. Worship. Without love, worship is meaningless, it's hollow. Remember, we've quoted a few times during this series, but in Corinthians, the love chapter as it's called. Without love, I'm a clanging cymbal. if I speak tongues. Without love, if I move mountains, it is meaningless. Without love, our worship is just noise. Without love, our placing value on God, why? Because it's with love that binds us all together. And these are the 3 blocks of church. It's this simple, but yet it is so impactful because it is all-encompassing. So often we narrowly focus worship to just the music, or we narrowly focus community just to potlucks. Sure, I'll come, but there better be good food, or pierogies. But in essence, it's life-changing. Worship is every time, everywhere. Community is involved. Everyone's part of it. It's not so we can gossip about each other. It's so that when I'm having a bad day, my church family is there for me. Somebody's house burns down, we will help get them a new one, whether we build them a new one or we pay for a new one. But that's what community is, because we love God and we love others. This is what I believe was to be set up and what the early disciples, the first disciples, had, and why they were so successful in turning a pagan Roman Empire into a Christian nation. It's because of these 3 blocks. This is what we need to aim for. This is how God set it up, I believe. However, this isn't a perfect world, and things go amiss. Community gets divided. Worship becomes a system of, well, we need to do it this way. No, I don't like that instrument. No. And soon the blocks start getting tears in them. Little tears. And everyone who has played with Lego knows that a broken piece is the worst piece to use because it will not hold any other pieces together. It will fall off. And it's also a pain to get off because it doesn't come off nicely. Those are the pieces I threw out or left on the ground to be stepped upon. Community. It is no hidden fact that our community in Kelowna is not one solid brick. We have 5 churches that do not act always in accordance with each other, even though we belong to the same church and we worship the same God. Our community has become so divided that we ask ourselves, well, it should still work, shouldn't it? I mean, you do your thing over there, I do my thing over here, and in the end, it still comes together. Right? That still works. No, it doesn't. It's a rhetorical question. But this is how we've been operating. As Pastor Cam said, I've been here since grade 5. And this is the mentality I came to Kelowna in. And this is the mentality that still is there. And it's worrisome. It is worrisome because our community as the Seventh-day Adventist Church is broken and dysfunctional. It's worrisome because people are falling through the cracks. It's worrisome because it's not as effective and it is not reaching those who need God in Kelowna, in the valley beyond. I take a note from Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream. I have a dream that one day our churches will come together as one community, not separated by physical buildings, but by one mind, one God, one love. I have a dream that one day I can not be judged by the church I attend, that I can hear all the pastors speak because they speak at a church where we all gather and not be separated. I dream that one day our school will have a church that loves and supports it because we ourselves are together. I have a dream that one day the Seventh-day Adventist Church will be known in Kelowna and will be a powerful force. If you were to ask somebody on the street what a Seventh-day Adventist Church is, they probably won't tell you where it is because they won't know. But you ask them, where's Trinity Baptist Church? Where is Willow Park Church? And they will tell you because they have come together and they have become a force for good. And we can do the same. But it takes all of us, not just the Rutland Church, not just the Kelowna Church, Winfield, Wildwood, Orchard City, or Sun Valley. And let's not forget West Bank. Only when we come together can this be complete. That is the issue. That is what we wanted to address with Revolution. This idea of changing that it's not about us. It's about them, those that do not know Christ. And until we ourselves put the pieces of the piece back together, this will not stay functional. This will not stay together. Because like I said, a broken piece never holds. My ships, my planes, all the pieces are not broken, because if they were, they couldn't be part of it. And Christ has asked us to come together as a community with love, to worship Him. But how can we when it's broken? Community isn't about pushing our own way. I'm not here to push my agenda. I'm not here to gain more support. I am here because somebody else needs me. I recently watched a video on TED Talks. I love that, and highly recommend to watch it. Ideas worth sharing. And they had one gentleman come up who had spent time in Iraq with soldiers. He wasn't a soldier, he was a reporter, but he had spent time there. And he was trying to answer the question, why do soldiers miss war? It's not because they enjoy killing people or being shot at. He finally figured out. It's because they miss the brotherhood, the agreement between the soldiers that if you're down, I will come after you. That they put themselves last before the group, that the group becomes first, that it's about all of them and not just one soldier. That is what they miss. And when they come home and it's no longer there, that's when they go crazy, because they don't know who to turn to. They don't know who's there for them. That reassurance in war is no longer there in peace, and it drives them crazy. We need to have the same attitude of brotherhood. It's not about friendship. It's about being there even if you don't want to be. It's about putting others first. That is what brotherhood is, and that is what a community is built upon. We had a wonderful example of this during the Okanagan Park fire in 2002? 3? We came together to support those who lost their houses up on the mission. The government sent in the army trying to stop the fire. We came together. Community centers were open. People were giving of clothes and of food and whatever is needed for those who had lost it, because they put others first. And we need to do the same. But we have an extra step because we have a God worth sharing, a love that others should know about. So then why can't we put it together ourselves? We need to revolution our thinking. We need to change our ways, because we are slowly declining. From the moment I came here to from grade 5 until now, there are less young people, and not just young people, but less overall. Because they see this brokenness, they see this happening, and they're like, I need a support system. I need people to catch me when I fall. And can we do that? Not always, because cracks. We so easily divide ourselves up that Kelowna's doing this, Rutland's doing that, and Sun Valley's over here. And that is what's causing us to crack, because we recognize ourselves by the building, not by our God. And that is what's troublesome. And that is what's been driving me. And that is what so many of students at Oka that I have been with, have noticed. My grad buddies that no longer go to church is because of this very reason. Because they're not there to support me. But that's the idea of church. It's the idea that all this is together. That if one brick fails, the whole system falls apart. But fortunately, we can fix it. It's not the end. The only issue is, are we willing to fix it? Are we willing to take the time to put the pieces together and try? Because a community isn't a group of people that all agree with each other. No. You can have disagreements. It's how you handle those disagreements. Do you grow from them, or do you say, nope, I'm going over here now? If that would have happened, Mr. L and I wouldn't be friends. But we worked through it, and we're best friends now. But if I left Oka because of him or because of another teacher, where would I be now? Disagreements aren't the end. They're the beginning. The end is what we choose to be, whether we separate and hold on to our grudges, Or whether we put them aside, like, hey, let's talk this out. Let's learn. And in the end, rebuild a community. I'm going to ask for the high school students to come up. The issue isn't worship. It isn't drums. There isn't electric guitars. It's that we can't come together despite our differences. That we can't be happy that others are coming to Christ, maybe not at Rutland, maybe at Kelowna. We can't be happy that people at Sun Valley are falling in love with God because it's not our piece but their piece, even though it's the same Lego brick. We have an issue in Kelowna that needs to be addressed because it won't sort itself out unless we take the step and we take the initiative to do it.